I challenged myself to create this vignette for under $50. Now the real question is, did I actually do it? Keep watching and find out. The other morning, I woke up, as one does, and I took a look at my wallet. Guess what was in there? Nothing. I'm just kidding. There was $50 cash. $50 cash. I was like, what can I create with $50 cash? So I challenged myself to recreate or get inspired by some of these spaces right here. Now, these are some that have been saved on my Pinterest. Spaces that I think are very inspiring. I'm very into this right now. Kind of mixing different styles, definitely a nod to vintage decor, but modern, a little bit of everything, very sexy. So let's see if we can recreate something like this for $50, furniture included. To achieve this goal, I need to be thrifty, so I headed to my local thrift shops to see what I can find. I should probably look for furniture first, but somehow I ended up in the book section. Okay, that's nice. Only $1.99 for a gold frame. I'll take it. All right, still no luck with furniture, but there's a couple more stores. I'm hopeful that I find a cabinet piece because that's ultimately going to determine the whole budget, right? I don't want to spend on other decor and not have enough left over for furniture. Per usual, I always get drawn into the brass section. This is a pretty cool vase, I guess. I don't know. I passed. To find dirt cheap furniture, I often head to this thrift store. It's a hit or a miss, but this time I think it was a hit. I found these two cabinets for $20 for both of them. I know. However, I only need this one right here. All right, I got the goods. Now that I secured the most expensive piece, the tall cabinet, now I can have some fun here. And I think I want to create a little seating moment or something along those lines. Maybe a chair like this and put it alongside the cabinet. That'll look good, right? So I went ahead and took it with me, $5. All right, so we gotta have ourselves a chair. I think we're pretty good with furniture. We need a couple more decorative accents, but I kind of want to see it put together first and determine what to look for. Maybe a lamp? I don't know. Okay, so I'm here at the thrift store, so let's head on inside, see what's good. I can literally see there's a cloud coming. It's like I can see the rain. It's about to hit me, so I better run. By the way, I filmed this throughout a couple of weeks, so that's why you're seeing all sorts of haircuts. Anyways, some large artwork. This one's pretty nice, a little bit over budget, so I don't think I would make the $50. I never know what I'll find at thrift stores, and I often find things like this. Like, who are these people? These are someone's like senior photos or something. Okay, so it's been a couple of days, maybe a couple of weeks. I don't even know. I've been busy with some things, but let me give you a quick haul of the things that I got. But before I let you know the price, comment down below. Let me know, do you think I met the $50 goal or not? Okay, so I'm gonna have to do some math here probably, but let me start off with this piece right here. This was $2. I think it's some sort of modern bowl. I feel like it looks like it's made out of cement, but it's probably resin. Pretty heavy too. And then I got a couple of frames. We got this one. This one was $1.99, sort of gold frame. This one was $1. Vintage frame, print. It's really faded. These are gonna need a good DIY, by the way. Ooh, look at this mirror right here. This is kind of a funky mirror. I am loving this. This was $7. Now this was, I think this is like a wine chiller or some sort of ice bucket. $3. That'll be a fun DIY. Some glass containers. This was half off, 50 cents. I think this might have been $1. Some styling books. These are pretty fun. Honestly, these are cooking books, old cooking books. Meet my good friend here. I don't know what his name is. What should we call him? It's made out of wood. $2. Maybe it's hand carved. And what do we have here? We have this dude over here. I think he's like missing a trumpet or something. What is this thing? It's probably some famous statue that I have no idea the name of. I feel like I've seen this before. Not bad. Now I also got a chair, but it's outside, and I'll put a photo right here. Basically that chair was $5. Pretty cool chair, vintage chair. But what about the cabinet? The cabinet was $20, which is a pretty good deal. It was sold in a set of 2. I didn't need the other piece. I asked the guy if like he could split it up. He's like, nah, you can just pay for both and take one. Whatever. I took the cabinet. Gonna need a little bit of love, of course. The grand total is all right, so we definitely have our work cut out for us. So let's head on outside, maybe start off with the cabinets or maybe these DIYs. I don't even know where to begin. I think this mirror is new. Let's take it out of the package. Look at that. That's pretty neat. I want to do something groovy with it. That sounds weird. I want to do something fun with it. You know, I'm kind of into checkered things right now, so I want to incorporate that to some extent. Maybe something right here. Let's see what we can do. I'm not going to go as in depth with this tutorial as I typically do, but I will say I am loving this color. This color is called Fossil, and this frames makes me feel groovy. So the paint has dried. I'm really obsessed with this color. The color is called Fossil by Rust-Oleum. I will link it down in the description box. Now that this is dry, let's add something kind of funky, right? And I want to add a little checkered detail right here. To be honest with you, I did not have it in me to paint each individual square, so I decided to cut each individual square. I don't know if that actually made it any better, but here we are. So I just took some tacky glue and glued each individual square around the inner perimeter of this frame. I would say each square is about 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter. And lastly, I just drew a line around the perimeter of this, basically a rectangle, just to make it pop a little bit more and create sort of a division between the holes and the squares. For this sculpture, dude, I have something fun planned. So right now it has this like gold leaf. It looks fine. It's not my taste. It kind of looks like a cheap trophy. So let's give it an upgrade. My friend right here is going to go on this stand, which is basically this cylinder glass face. We're going to turn it upside down, mount it onto this. Change of plans. So it's going to be too tall for these shelves, so I'm going to separate them out. Right now, let's work on the vase. So I had some leftover MDF strips. Maybe you might remember my DIY pedestal video. Go watch it after this video, but essentially I cut some of these strips with using some MDF board. Now I'm cutting them to about 2 inches in length. And what am I going to do with them? Well, I'm actually going to glue them around the top edge. Why? I don't know, but my good friend Super Gel comes to the rescue, and I'm going to use this stuff to basically glue this to the top edge. Honestly, I'm kind of just eyeballing this and making sure that they're evenly spaced as best as I can. Ooh, someone turn on the AC because it's getting warm in here. Now I'm going to use some caulking because the perfectionist in me wants to fill in the little gaps between each, and that's exactly what I did. Kind of like icing a cake. Okay, there's a couple of different directions I can take this. I want to make this look like a ceramic piece, so I'm going to use, of course, Henry's Feather Finish with just use like a brush. Basically just brushing it on there. You've seen me do it so many times. It's my tried and true. And then maybe we can do a little fun plot twist with it. We'll see. Say it with me, friend. Henry's Feather Finish. Yes, Henry's Feather Finish. You know how much I love this stuff. Basically kind of like a cement skim coat. I'm adding a little bit of water and making it like thick paint consistency, and I'm just going to brush it on as if I were just painting this. For this specific application, which it's not really intended for, but you know me, I'll do whatever. I like to do several coats, allowing each coat to dry just to make sure that we get the strong coverage and it'll last longer. Now that that's dry, this is the result, which is a good stopping point. I want to take it even further and give it, of course, some patina. So I mixed together sort of some white and some beige, and I got it real wet. So I'm just going to let that water drip and create what it's going to create. The result is phenomenal. Look at this. Doesn't it look like some vintage piece, but it's like modern? Kind of interesting. To be honest with you, I have been avoiding the elephant in the room, which is this cabinet, because obviously it needs some work. All right, this cabinet is janky AF. It was only $20 though. It's literally kind of falling apart. Well, the backing is. So I need to fix that because it needs some lateral support. But I'm gonna go ahead and paint this because it's a combination of like MDF and a real wood. So I think the best solution here is to paint, which I think I'm gonna go for black. It's timeless, it's classy, it's elegant, and I think it's gonna work well with that design that I'm going for. I'm gonna take this inside to the garage and paint. It's a little bit windy. First things up, let's do some primer. Also, can we just stop and smell the roses for a moment? Well, tulips, because they're my favorite and they're in full bloom right now. Honestly, it was a good call bringing it inside because it rained the following morning. Either way, I removed the backing. Well, actually it fell off. But let's see if we can salvage this or maybe make a new one. Yes, I know the garage is a mess, but we're gonna go ahead and work in here. Now, a couple of weeks ago or months, I DIY'd this large wall art. Maybe you saw that video, and I used some hardboard in the frame. I don't know, it's a process, but I have some leftovers. So I'm gonna use this stuff. I actually have another sheet. I'm gonna use this for the backing. And I was thinking maybe I could do something fun for the back, maybe like cement texture or something like this. I can skim coat this. I was gonna do wallpaper, but I couldn't decide on any, and so let's go ahead and see what we can do with this. Maybe it'll be a fail. I don't know. Oh, and by the way, and I don't think I said this, but all of these materials, we're not going to add it to the $50 budget because we're already over budget in terms of these materials. I had most of these. Actually, I had all of these already, but it's still a pretty budget-friendly option. Now, in terms of the backing, I was able to salvage some of the existing one. I didn't want any of those holes. I think it was used as a media cabinet before. Don't need that. Now, what am I gonna do for the backing, you ask? That's a really great question. I actually have a little surprise for you. But first, I give it a quick scuffing with some sandpaper just so that the material I use adheres nicely. And can you guess what material I'm using? If you thought I wasn't gonna use Henry's Feather Finish, you're wrong. I'm gonna use this. Also gonna add some cement pigment. The color is charcoal just to make it dark. When it comes to color pigment, I would say the more you use, the darker, the more vibrant the color will be. In this case, since it's charcoal, it's going to get darker and darker. So I ended up using about 1 cup of the Henry's Feather Finish to about 1 to 2 teaspoons of the charcoal. I'm using a putty knife to spread a thin layer of this onto the hardboard. I would say the trick here is to do several thin coats. In this case, I think I just did 1, but the more the better and more durable. Now, as you can see, this is how it is starting to dry. Very beautiful. It kind of looks like blackened steel in a way. Once dried, I give it just a light sanding just to make sure that the texture was nice and smooth. I probably should have done another coat, but I wasn't feeling it, so I just ended up sealing it with clear matte spray. Onto the cabinet. Let's go ahead and paint this. To be honest with you, I'm just going to use some paint that I have in the garage. There's some that's like not going bad, but like it will be going bad, so I'm just trying to get rid of it. So here I am applying 1 to 2 coats of some primer just to make sure that it all adheres nicely. What a fun time. This is the point where I put my earbuds on and start to jam it out or listen to podcasts. If you listen to any podcasts or have any recs, let me know down below. While that dries, let's work on another little project. Have you seen my trumpet? Anyways, in the meantime, let's go ahead and work on our dude here. Still don't know his name. Originally, I was going to, attach that glass thing that I showed you, but it's just gonna be too tall for it. So I think I want to embrace the gold, a little too gold for my taste. So I'm gonna use some black paint with Rub and Buff gold leaf to kind of mix it together to give it kind of like an antique bronze look. And that's exactly what I did. I mixed together my black acrylic paint and my gold Rub and Buff to create sort of a vintage brass or bronze effect. I think this makes this statue look a little bit more upscale and not so, I don't know, shiny. I don't know why, but this reminds me of a scene in Toy Story 3, or I think it's actually 2, where Woody is getting repaired or kind of a little makeover. This is my Woody. Going back to the cabinet, I applied a couple coats of black paint. The color I used is called Black Onyx, and I believe this is by Color Place at Walmart. I think it's their brand. I got this paint a couple years ago. Again, I'm just trying to use it up before it goes bad. I don't know if I would recommend this for furniture per se, but I'm hoping with the primer and a couple coats of this clear matte finish, it will help keep it protected, and I think it did. Ooh, this clear top coat's getting a little chunky, as you can see. Either way, I went ahead and worked with it. I ended up adding a little bit of black paint just so that I kind of tinted it dark, since this is a dark cabinet. Now, moving on to the hardware. All right, so I let the final protective coat dry overnight. Basically, we're done, right? So just gotta put the backing on there, the doors, and the hardware. So I'm gonna keep the existing hardware. I think it's beautiful. I'm just having a little bit of a design dilemma with the handles. As you might recall, it has this wooden detail, which is actually not attached, it's removable. I'm not sure if I should keep it kind of just as a nod to the old piece or just you know, get rid of it. I don't think it's contributing to the new design. With, I'm leaning towards this one. I feel like this wood is too orangey for this, and it doesn't really tie in with the rest of the cabinets. So what are your thoughts? Comment down below, but I'm gonna go with this one. I was initially going to paint this vase. Well, I guess it's not a vase, it's an ice bucket. We'll call it a vase now. I was gonna paint this, but after giving it some thought, I kind of appreciate the wooden tone. I think it looks more red on camera, but I think this is going to tie in well with the accent chair. So I'm just gonna give it a coat of this clear wax or clear paste wax by Tray Wax. I'm getting a little antsy as we approach the finish line, but basically with this, just applied one coat of this, let that dry, and then I went in with a clean rag and kind of buffed it out. Now before we do the final reveal, let's just finish this up with this last project, which is this artwork. Basically it is an art print that has faded over the years. Don't worry, it's not an original, so I'm just gonna give it some new life. I'm painting some off-white, adding a little bit of color with some charcoal tones, maybe a little bit of red and white. Next thing you know, it's like, what is this? I do not like this. So I just ended up spray painting over it, and I kind of created a cool effect that was unexpected. Oh, and one more thing with this piece right here. So I forgot to actually record, but I did a light dust of white spray paint at the end to kind of bring it all together, which I don't even know if you can see. Let me turn down the brightness. And that essentially brought it all together. And this is actually going to be layered with another art piece in the front, which I'll show you in a second, but not bad, right? We're basically done. So I'm just gonna do some final styling. But last thing, before I forget, this frame right here, this sort of gold frame, really was not sure what to put in this, and I finally figured it out. So I went on Etsy and found the seller that sells basically like Bauhaus vintage art or vintage posters. And I went ahead and purchased this one, just a couple of dollars. We won't add it to the $50 thing, but just a couple of dollars. I had this printed at my local FedEx for like $1. Okay, I think I talked plenty. And by the way, thank you for being here. Now, without further ado, here's what I was able to do for quote unquote $50. Loving this. Okay, this vintage bronze statue, love that color. Look at that. I think it turned out really nice. Then a little bit of pop of color with the books, you know, red accents here and there. My earbuds are here. Of course, a little bit of a groovy mirror. Look at that checkered effect. I love it. Something different, something unexpected. Pairing it with this little bit more maybe modern type of chair. This is, I want to say it's like a Scandinavian vintage. If you're really enjoying the design, the vibe of this design, I actually put together a blog post sharing some of my favorites inspired by this design. So something a little bit groovy, something vintage, modern, a little mid-century here and there. Definitely check out the blog post. I will link it down below. All right, friend, I think we're gonna call it good for today's video. I had a lot of fun putting this together. It's amazing what one can do for a couple of dollars, a little bit of patience, and a little bit of love. Now, $50, getting harder to stretch these days, but with some patience, I think we can definitely do a lot with it. But let me know which project was your favorite. Now, as you know, I do a lot of DIY here, so be sure to check out my playlist here at the end of this video so that you don't miss any of them. But thank you again so much for watching. Have an awesome day. Let me know if you want to see more videos like this, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.